And thank you, Kane, for handing over control there. I've got that now. Yes, so as most of you know, I had an international operatic career for about 20 years and moved back to Australia about 7 years ago. And during an artistic career, the effect of your mind, on your beliefs, your confidence, it has a very striking and obvious effect on your performance and on your career. You're putting yourself out there all the time, and true artists are always looking for ways to free themselves of barriers which prevent them from being a conduit for the music. So my study of the mind began in a very practical sense about 25 years ago. And this fascination has led me to the work that I do now, which gives me extraordinary satisfaction, helping highly motivated people in business and corporate, the arts and sports in three main areas: in performance empowerment, or peak performance as it's usually known as, in reconnecting with their identity, their sense of purpose and sense of self-worth after an elite career, after which Nikki works her magic to help those people. And thirdly, in helping people to ditch their stress and switching from a way of living that's more in survival mode to the freedom of thrive mode, where people can resolve anxiety, depression, chronic stress, and PTSD, etc. How do I do this? On the trade sheet, I'm listed as a hypnotherapist, and it's actually quite hard to give a label to what I do. So I thought it'd be easier for you guys if I talk about how I work and touch on some of the science behind what I do. We've all heard of neuroplasticity now. It's based on the fact that we can change our brains, and our brain can and does change itself, but we can change it consciously. Also, when we're up to 6 years old, we're in an accelerated learning state. It's a part of our biological survival mechanism. So we're able to absorb massive amounts of information about the world, our role in it, and how to survive in it. And these subconscious programs are materially reflected in our brain, in our neural networks. And some of these subconscious programs serve us and some of them don't. So I use the language of the subconscious, the imagination, to help people reprocess memories and help them make positive change, positive neural change, rapidly and effectively and safely. So the brain and imagination, it's science, people. It's not woo-woo voodoo stuff. So, or more accurately, the science is catching up with what wise people, mystics, and yogis have known for centuries. And let me just give you a couple of examples of how the brain and the imagination work. Guang Yu is an exercise psychologist at the Cleveland Clinic Foundation, and he carried out research comparing participants who worked out at the gym to participants who did imaginary workouts in their armchairs. In his study, participants who went to the gym were able to increase their muscle strength by 30%. Get this, those who stayed in their armchairs and did a mental imagination rehearsal of the weight training, just in their minds, increased their muscle power by almost 15%. Research done with EEGs, electroencephalograms, those, where you have the electrodes attached to your scalp and it measures the electrical activity in the brain. Research done with them has shown that the electrical activity in the brain is identical whether we're thinking about doing something specific or imagining doing something. This is gold. We can use this in order to create the programs that serve us and get rid of the ones that don't. Once I've helped somebody sort of rewire and get to their version of fantastic, then I teach them how the mind works and how to prevent themselves from forming self-sabotaging programs and behaviors and things in the future. So I show them how to use the power of their mind to serve them as life goes on. We already had a mental health crisis on our hands before COVID, and now the accumulated stress is like a pressure cooker. Before it was like a tidal wave, now it's like a tsunami just waiting to hit. Financial pressure, burden of guilt for employees who put off people and, taken away people's livelihood, anger, resentment, sense of hopelessness, sense of failure, trauma, from the fires as well. We've already forgotten about that. But all of these things are additional to the pressure of isolation. And there is going to be a massive number of people who need help. So people need to know that the stuff that they're feeling can be resolved, not just managed. They don't have to stay feeling that way. So I am pretty sure that if people out there with PTSD knew that there was a solution, they wouldn't be suiciding at the rate they are now, which is horrifying.
1 minute.
Thank you, Kane. Who can I help? I can help organisations or people through organisations with education, speaking, workshops. I can help other professionals who don't have the skills to help their clients with this sort of stuff, but who come across it all the time. I can help individuals with their performance, with their mental health, and following an elite career. So I'd really invite you all to ask questions. Ask organisations, do they have people training on this stuff? Imposter syndrome, self-sabotage, mental health issues, how they can be resolved, not just managed. Ask other professionals, do you know anyone who can help your clients resolve their mental health issues, their self-sabotage, their imposter syndrome? Ask individuals, are you okay? Look them straight in the eye and mean it. Ask with care and concern, and you'll be surprised who will open up if they're not okay. I'd like to read you something that a client I worked with about 1.5 years wrote on my social media 2 days ago. He was commenting on the testimony of another client of mine. He said, wow, that sounds pretty powerful. I have to agree, you have helped me more than you will ever know. Anyone reading this, trust this woman, trust this approach. It really works. I feel like I've purged my past. It never comes into my day-to-day thoughts. This is your gift. Thank you for sharing your gift. I feel whole again. This is something I can share and I can really, really help people. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And thank you for helping me to help other people thrive, not just survive. Thank you, Kane.